Thanks. It's really great to be with you, and I hope to get to meet a lot of you on the tour that hopefully some of you will be going on. So yeah, my name is Finny Kuruvilla, and I have lived in Boston for 27 years. I've been here for a long time. I was born and raised in LA, in Los Angeles, in Southern California. I still consider that my hometown when people say, "Where are you from?" But I came here to go to school in 1995, and I never left. And I'm going to tell you why, and why I think it's a great place for you to consider coming here to go to school. So if you had something that was a life-saving medication or a life-saving message or something that you just had to get out to the rest of the world, where would you situate yourself in order to do that? What location would you select? Well, we know that this has happened in the past, and if we look at the example of the Apostle Paul, who had this burning fire inside of him about how he wanted to get the gospel message out, we know how he thought and how he moved. So he went to places like Syrian Antioch. That was the third largest city of the Roman Empire, a very diverse city that was famous for how many cultures lived in this particular area. The area was so ethnically diverse that there were people living there from China, people there from Persia, people there from Northern Europe, all there where he and Barnabas were ministering. He spent the bulk of his time in his journeys at cities like Thessalonica. Thessalonica is the capital of, anyone? Macedonia. Thank you, Aaron. Capital of Macedonia, very important strategic city. The city that he spent his most amount of time in missionary journey number 2 was Corinth, which is the capital of. This is why I need to come to Sattler. Achaia. So Achaia was like the key province for commerce, and Corinth situated itself right between the Adriatic Sea and the Aegean Sea. Lots of people traveling there. Third missionary journey, he situates himself at the capital of Asia, which is a city called Ephesus. So that's where one of the wonders of one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world was. He spends most of his time on his third missionary journey there because he wants to see the gospel get out to all these key places. And then after all that, he has this burning desire to go to another city. What's that city? This is easy. Rome, right? The city of them all. Paul was absolutely determined to see the gospel effectively planted in the most important key strategic cities of the ancient world. And if you have the heart of the New Testament apostles, you should adopt that as well. So that's how the early apostles did it. By the time the New Testament closes, 8 out of the 9 largest cities of the Roman Empire had fairly vibrant gospel-based churches situated in those communities. Now let's think here about Boston and what Boston represents. So again, a lot of you are going to come on the tour that I'll be giving shortly. But Boston is in many ways I'm going to say it's actually the single most strategic city in all of America here, and you'll see why in a little bit. So it's of course famous for all the history, right? So a lot of people come here because they want to do the Freedom Tour and see where America was born, and we're going to see some of those locations. The Tea Party, the massacre, no taxation without representation, Samuel Adams. We're going to see the place where most of the signers of the Declaration of Independence went to school. Lots and lots of important things happened here. But did you know that that has extended not just from the 1700s, but even till today? As an illustration of this, 6 out of the 9 Supreme Court justices who are currently serving on the Supreme Court went to school in Boston. 6 out of 9, okay? Not 2 out of 9, the vast majority went to school in Boston. If you look at these lists of people who are international, people who come from all over the world, by far the city that has produced the most number of influencers by far is Boston. It's not even like there's a close number 2. Boston is by far in the lead. There are 50,000 international students right now in the city of Boston who are roaming around in different schools looking to figure out who they're going to be, what their ideas are, what they're going to be caring about when they go home. Boston is a place where people like Martin Luther King Jr., the leader of the civil rights movement, he came here, he studied, He developed his beliefs on the civil rights movement, and he took it back to Alabama, and the whole movement kicked off. It's where lots of really famous scientists and people who have made important ideas come. I ride the subway a lot here, and not too long ago I was riding on the subway. I was on the Red Line, and I looked across the subway car, and I thought, I know this guy. I've seen his face before. And I decided just to go up to him and introduce myself, and hey, my name's Finny. And he said, are you? And I asked if this was his name, and he says, yes, that's me. And he's like, you won the Nobel Prize for Peace, right? And he's like, yeah, I did. And so we spent 3 train car rides discussing his contributions to how he won the Nobel Peace Prize. And I pinched myself at the end of it. I thought, I got just a little subway card here, right? And I got to spend 10 minutes with the Nobel Peace Prize winner learning about his ideas he worked on disarming nuclear bombs. I thought, how amazing is that? I played pickup basketball games with Nobel Prize winners. And I've had the opportunity to interact with lots and lots of people, as many of you will, who are going to be some of the great leaders and people who change the world for years to come. So Boston is a really, really, really great city if you want to think about where to situate yourself to make disciples that are going to actually change the world. Jesus told us in Matthew 28 that we're to go into all the nations and make disciples. Well, here we have something where the nations have come to us. They're right here at our doorstep. We don't even need to go that far to be able to make disciples of all these nations. The opportunities here are amazing. This river here is called the Charles River that we can all see. On the north side of it is Cambridge, on the south side is Boston. I myself went to school here for 8 years. I did a couple of degrees on both sides of the Charles River. And it is a city of really high energy because there are just so many people here who are, again, trying to figure out who they're going to be, what they're going to become, and what their lives are going to look like. In addition to some of those international concepts, it's the place where, as you're going to see, very significant religious ideas have gone forth. So we're going to go and see the church where the pastor of the church coined the term evangelical. So the whole evangelical church movement began right here in Boston. The Unitarian church movement, if you don't know what that is, I'll explain that to you, began right here in Boston. Those of you who are theologically astute will know the new perspective on Paul. That began right here in Boston as well. It's hard to enumerate how many of these ideas have come from here. Now, how amazing would it be if this became the place where Two Kingdoms Christian theology established itself and went out to all the nations, right? It could be that. We did a debate, I think it was 8 years ago now, where I wanted to try to find the place that would be the most symbolic in its value to debate the topic of just war versus non-resistance. And we were able to get the place where, sometimes called the cradle of liberty or the cradle of America, where the speech was given, no taxation without representation. And we did a great job. I wasn't actually one of the debaters, I was just the moderator, but we did a great job of showcasing the power of these ideas for the 21st century. The time is now for Kingdom Christians to unite and to actually make disciples of all nations. Just on the very, maybe less inspirational, but still important dimension, it's an easy city to get around. So I lived here in Boston for 11 years without having a car. I just took the subway or the bus everywhere that I went, so that was really handy. I like to say that I married into a car. My wife had a car, so eventually I took a step up the socioeconomic ladder. But you don't actually need a car, and it's actually better and more convenient to just travel here without anything like that. It's a very safe city, so that's nice, and I'm sure you've heard that from our students. It's a very pleasant and beautiful place, so it's very nice and enjoyable there. If you enjoy nature, if you enjoy hiking, if you enjoy those sorts of things, which I personally love, we are very blessed with tremendous natural beauty right in the area. My family, when it's not in the winter, we go hiking every Friday as a family and just love waterfalls and difficult hikes and all of that New England has to offer. And so for those of you who enjoy nature, this is a great place to come. There's some beautiful beaches that we go to that are actually kind of off the grid, so to speak, that people don't really know about, that we often go to. And I brought many Sattler students to those places as well. So it certainly has perks in that way, but the number one reason that we are here is to make disciples of all the nations. And as we gain momentum, as we further establish ourselves, I'm confident that this is going to continue, and that as we look out the window here and we see all the beautiful buildings and all of the opportunity here, I see right before us an opportunity for Boston to become the sending city, the sending location where many of you are trained and go out to make disciples of all the nations.